Today we travel to Brazil in our kitchen with these awesome little chicken dumplings called coxinhas, which are stuffed with some really great creamy homemade chicken salad. These Brazilian beauties are meant to resemble chicken drumsticks, and not only are they easy to make, but there's a fun story to go along with them, so no need to be chicken about trying them. Let's go ahead and get started here. And speaking of chicken, we're definitely going to need some. Now, if you wanted to skip this step and, I don't know, say buy a deli chicken and just shred that up, I won't judge you too much. But a bonus of making the chicken ourselves, we wind up with a ton of awesome chicken stock, which we're also going to use in the recipe. So let's get started by chopping in 2 large carrots, along with 4 or 5 ribs of celery. If you don't have any, you really should stock up. And next up, a large onion. We don't have to cut this fine, we'll just pop it into a couple of pieces. And just for a little extra herby goodness, 2 bay leaves. And of course, fresh cracked pepper to taste, along with probably about a tablespoon or so of salt. Now we're simply going to add enough water to cover this completely. And you'll notice I'm using chicken legs here. You could use whatever kind of chicken you want, but I do think that dark meat works a little better. It's a little fattier and it has a deeper flavor to it, but chicken breasts will also work. Anyway, once this comes up to a simmer for us, we're just going to slap a lid on and we're going to cook this for a minimum of 1 hour. 2 hours would be better. And while our chicken simmers away for us, let's take a moment and talk about the interesting history of coxinhas. The story goes, sometime in the early 19th century, Princess Isabella of Brazil and Prince Gaston had a son that was living in seclusion due to mental health problems. And his favorite dish was chicken, but only the thighs. So one day the chef was out of chicken thighs, and out of desperation he thought, I'll just cook up a whole chicken, shred it, and shape it into thighs. Well, that was the first coxinha, and not only did the child enthusiastically endorse the dish, but so did Empress Teresa Cristina, who, after trying one while visiting, liked it so much she could not resist the delicacy. She actually requested that the master of the imperial kitchen learn how to prepare it. And the rest is history, literally. Anyway, now that our chicken has had enough time to cook, we just want to drain this. Now, normally I would drain into a second pot, but all my pots were busy, so I guess we're going to have to go bowling today. We definitely want to reserve this chicken stock. Not only is it incredibly delicious and nutritious, but we're going to need about 3 cups for this recipe. So let's just go ahead and pre-measure our 3 cups of chicken stock, and then we can set the rest of this aside for another day. And now on to the filling. Now I see a lot of variation in this, so just make whatever seems tastiest to you that particular day. Today I'm going to be starting with 8 ounces of room temperature cream cheese. So we'll just get that into our bowl, and then to brighten up the flavor a little bit, I'm also going to be adding 1 tablespoon of vinegar. I'm using apple cider vinegar here today, but use your vinegar of choice. And season with a pinch of salt. I was going to do some green onion tricks for you guys here, but that got me thinking about what Gandalf said to the onions at that bridge in Khazak Doom. You shall not pass! Okay, let's just chop those into our bowl. And I'm going to pre-blend all this before adding my chicken, just because I didn't want the chicken to get shredded up too fine. I wanted to be able to have little pieces of chicken in my final coxinhas. But if you wanted to just add the chicken right here and mix it all together, that would work fine too. So here we have our chicken from our 8 chicken drumsticks. This came out to about 1.5 pounds. So we'll just get that mixed in here, and if you're using chicken breast, you may or may not need to pre-shred it, depending on how long you cooked it. Once that's sufficiently mixified, let's not forget the most important step, taste for seasoning. Skipping that step is the easiest way to get boring and bland tasting food. I did think this needed a little more, so I'm going to add an extra teaspoon or so of salt and get that mixed back around. At this point, our chicken salad is ready to use, but we can, if we want, make this ahead and store it in the fridge for up to a week. So let's go ahead and make the pastry for these coxinhas. Into a medium pot we go with our 3 cups of chicken stock. We'll bring this up to a gentle simmer, and then we're going to add equal parts flour. That is 3 cups flour for our 3 cups of chicken stock. And now we'll get mixing with our hot pastry preparation. Watch out for steam. We just want to mix this and get all of the flour incorporated. There might still be a couple of lumps and stuff. That's not a big deal. Once we've reached this scary hot blob phase, we're going to go ahead and turn this out onto an oiled work surface. I'm going to give it a couple little pats because it looked sad, and then we're just going to cover this with a kitchen towel and let it cool down for 10 or 15 minutes. Once it's cool enough to handle, we just want to oil our hands a little and knead this until it's completely smooth. It'll only take 30 seconds or so. Once this is nice and smooth, we can go ahead and start forming our coxinhas. You can roll these out if you want, but I found it a little easier just to pull off approximately a golf ball sized piece of this dough and then just form it with your hand, starting with your thumb press in the middle. And we just want to form these into a little bowl shape. Once we're happy with that, we simply want to add a tablespoon or two of our chicken salad filling. I like to portion that out in kind of an oblong shape. That way you've got chicken salad filling all the way up to the top of the coxinha, not just down at the bottom. Seal it around the top like this, and then I just like to give it a little tap on the board to flatten out the bottom. That's so they'll stand up later after they're cooked. Oh, but we're not done yet. These get one more layer for maximum crispification, and this is a two-parter. First we go into one beaten egg and then into panko breadcrumbs. Those are Japanese breadcrumbs, and if you haven't tried them before, you really need to. But how are we going to cook these, you might ask yourself? Fry, you fools. Yes, we are going to be frying these. In my wok, I have about 2 inches of oil, and it should be about 300 degrees. If you put the end of your coxinha in and it sizzles like this, it's hot enough. I like to do 4 of these at a time. That seems to be the perfect number. Just fry for about 2 minutes, and then we'll give these a flip. After another 2 minutes, these will be ready to pull off. But before we serve them, we do want to hit them with just a pinch of salt. But that's it, folks. These delicious Brazilian coxinhas are ready to eat. Normally, I would just eat these whole, but I'll go ahead and cut one in half so you can see what that wonderful chicken salad looks like. These are really unique little fried chicken dumplings. I'd never had anything like this before. Dipped in a little chili mayo, these were really delicious. The only thing I would do differently next time I make them is to make that dough a little bit thinner. But even so, I really enjoyed these. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Passion for Food. If you have, give me a thumbs up below and don't forget to subscribe and hit that little bell so you don't miss our future recipes. And check out one of our other great videos playing on the screen now. This has been Graham with Passion for Food. The story goes that sometime in the early 19th century. The story goes that sometime in the early 19th.